Welcome to Women of Steel with me, Miriam Grace, the podcast where women who've had their mettle tested help us make important links for ourselves. I talk to remarkable women about their lives and challenges through the lens of my own work as a psychotherapist. We uncover stories which challenge the power of the status quo and validate the voices of marginalised or disadvantaged women. Have you been told that you need to get more exercise to manage your depression and anxiety, and felt that this was an impossible thing to do to motivate yourself to do? I discovered laughter yoga some years ago, and this is a healthy exercise that you can do that's full of physical and mental health benefits, and you can do it without having to learn anything or buy any equipment. There's no special skill to learn in laughter. You can de-stress, change your cortisol, serotonin and oxytocin levels, stretch your vagus nerve and feel better. I'm going to be speaking to Lotte Mikkelsen today, laughter ambassador and the Laughter Yoga Master Trainer UK. She's a laughter coach and therapist, gibberish advisor and trainer. And she's going to explain a little bit about why laughter yoga is a serious business. So today I'm speaking with Lotte, and welcome Lotte. Do you know, it must be, is it 12 years since we met, since or nearly that, since I did my laughter yoga training with you. And do you know, I sometimes say to friends that of all, I've done so much continuing professional development training after my psychotherapy training. I must have done 30 or 40 courses, but the laughter yoga was the best organized, most, I enjoyed it the most, definitely, and I came away, I felt so good, so well. How long do you think that high that I had might have lasted me from laughing all weekend?
Well, do you know what? First of all, thank you so much for having me, Miriam, and you're absolutely right. It's I was just checking, and it's actually 11 years, coming up to 12 years in February next
Mm,
year since you did the
mm,
training up in Durham. And the thing about the training is that it is such a high. You feel really elated and so on coming out of the
mm.
training. But then, of course, if it's on a weekend, then suddenly Monday happens and you're back to real life. And I think that happens for a lot of people who go on the training. So it's so important to keep in touch and keep the laughter flowing. But it may make it could last a week or 2 weeks or a month or
Mm,
the rest
mm.
of your life, depending on
Yeah,
what you do with it.
yeah. Well,
But I think,
yeah.
go on,
No,
go on.
well, I was going to say what I did with it is I started a laughter and happiness group on a Monday morning, and
Wow.
I used to go to my choir on a Monday evening. So I had the best start to the week because I think part of what you'll explain to us is that we can't laugh without breathing properly. We can't sing without breathing properly,
No.
actually. But whereas we might need to learn to sing a little bit, the amazing thing about laughter is that we're born with this ability to de-stress right from being a baby.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. And it's not the only thing about the breathing in terms of both laughter and singing. Because when we're laughing and you're really laughing, not the normal social,
Mm,
that
mm,
it's in the front of our mouth, yeah? Where
mm,
when we open up, we actually bring it to the back of our throat. And this
mm,
is where the muscles we're using, and you can feel it. And the same
mm.
when you're singing, la 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 la. You can sing, I
Mm.
can't, yeah. But when we're singing, we're connecting with those muscles as well. And when
Mm,
they're moving, they're actually connecting in with the vagus nerve, which a
mm,
lot of people do know, but a lot of people also don't know. It's one of our
mm,
largest nerves and is
mm,
responsible for relaxation. It goes from the base of our skull and down to the base of our
mm,
spine. And when you're
mm,
connecting in with that, you're triggering some relaxing events going on in your body. So
Yeah.
just by ha 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 and la la la, you connect in with it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, and the something I'm noticing with singing and laughter as well is the diaphragm. So,
Mm.
you taught
Yeah.
us that I think there was one, I don't know what you call it. It may be, I think of it as a lotus flower, but it's ho ho ho, ha ha ha, and then is it oh,
Yeah.
at the top or something? What's that
Hmm.
called? Is it a
Close enough.
You'll have to reteach me. It's a long time since I've done it. Show me now. Show me now. How does that one go? Do you know the one I mean, where we're doing the diaphragm and it's the
Yeah,
huzz sound, isn't it? That where we're
it
using
is. Yeah.
that. Mm.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well with the connection of the diaphragm. Again, it connects in with the vagus nerve and gives us that relaxation. It also does a lot of other things because that is the base of our breathing, isn't it? The deep breathing, the
Mm.
diaphragm goes, and then we push the air out with the abdomen. But the one you're talking about is well, between the exercises, if you remember, we do the ho ho ha
Ho
ha ha,
ho
yeah.
ha. Yeah.
And that is actually also the connection with the diaphragm, but we also have a specific one that's very connected with one of the yoga breathing exercise where we go ho ho ha ha ho ho ha ha
Ha
ho
ha.
ho ha ha, and that's really connecting in and
Mm.
shifting that and
Mm.
creating energy. So it's really good for us in so many ways. And the other
Yeah.
thing, of course, both singing and laughing trigger release of endorphins, and that's probably one of the most well-known
Absolutely.
happy chemicals.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I think another thing, and this was particularly important in the pandemic, is that we lost a lot of eye contact with people, didn't we? And
Mm.
laughter yoga's always a key component of that is eye contact. And I
Yeah,
had a friend of mine, she's in America, Imogen, she's going to be on the podcast, and
amazing.
she was so taken with me having done the laughter yoga. I went over to America and we did a session. Her husband wasn't as impressed as she was, but
That's a
but she
man
did.
thing. Oh,
Yeah.
am I allowed to say that?
you can say what you like, but she went and did her laughter yoga training, and they did keep it up through the pandemic, and they did
Fantastic.
online
Yeah.
groups as well. So sometimes she and I have a laugh over Zoom together. But this is
That is
this
so
is
good.
we're starting in the middle here. Let's go right back to the beginning, because you weren't born in the UK. You grew up in
Denmark.
Denmark.
I was born in Denmark as well.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm totally Danish. Danish
yeah.
parents, Danish family, everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
I
So
moved
so
here 23 years ago for love. Mm.
for love.
For
Mm,
love, yeah. Things
yeah.
change though, doesn't don't they? Suddenly you wake up and it's a different country, a different life, and so on. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a big shift, isn't it? A big change.
yeah.
But now, your work centers around laughter, and what a job to have. Did you ever think, when you were growing up, one day I'm going to have a job and it's going to be about laughing?
No. I was sure I was going to be a very famous actress.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Well,
mm.
the theatre school didn't think I had much talent, so hey, what can you do?
Uh, so
So.
what? Why? How? How did you get into all this?
It's a really, what? I think it's a good story. Let's see what other people think. But
Mm,
I actually come from a background in technology. That was the route I chose after lots of thoughts and so on. And being given the opportunity to, in fact, get an apprenticeship and do something. And I thought, I had no clue back then. You're young and so on. And I think a lot of young people are in that situation. So we choose jobs where it may not be our dream, but it's somewhere to start while we figure out what we really want to
mm.
do. And so years and years and years later, a friend of mine went to train in laughter yoga, came back in 99 and started the Laughter Club in Copenhagen. And at that time, I just didn't have time for that kind of stuff. He kept saying, "We're laughing every Thursday. You should come." Yeah, right. So eventually, I went to his event where he organized World Laughter Day in Copenhagen, and I thought I can go and support his little gathering of friends and family, and take the family because it was a Sunday, and I thought no job, and I can take the family and all that stuff. And I came into the center of Copenhagen, and it was almost 10,000 people who were gathered there in the center and just laughing. And it's like you enter a space where, oh my gosh, you don't even know you have that many friends, but suddenly you have. And that was where I thought, this is what I want to do. I really want to share laughter. It's the best feeling ever. And then, of course, life took over, and I moved to the UK in 2001, and still wanted to do something with it. And there wasn't really any opportunity for training. So I connected in with my friend, and he guided me through and connected with me with Madame Kataria, who's the founder, and so on. And I was told, just read the books and watch the videos back then. Things have changed, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I watched all this, and I thought, I can do this. But because there wasn't any training at the time, I thought, oh, what can I do apart from doing technology as I'd always done? Yeah. So I studied as a reflexologist as well, and I also became a Reiki master trainer and all sorts of things, crystal healer. Yeah. And then I just started doing it because I felt, well, someone started somewhere and they didn't have the training. They created this, so you got to be able to do it in some way. Yeah. And at some point and it took some years. In 2005, I had the opportunity to train, and then it just took off. What was great about training, and I say this to everybody, if they ever do it for themselves, if you want to train, what happens is you connect in with people who are like-minded souls, and you actually connect with people who are on a similar path, and you can join forces and figure out how can we do this together. And I loved that. Even though in 2005 there weren't that many people doing it anyway. But it gave me just that excitement, extra excitement, and the connection. And I started teaching in 2007, and then of course it just took off. And in 2012 I became the first master trainer in the UK, and it was just so exciting. A real privilege to start teaching teachers as well. So it's just gone from one to the next to the next, and then of course the pandemic happened. And that was a bit of a tough one, to be honest.
That's a really hard to laugh about, but you know, this is something I really think that we do end up resetting some of our nervous system and so on, because I found that after doing the training with you and then doing my happiness group, that I was waking up happier. And one of the exercises we did was to think about situations that are really stressful, that you did when you're stuck in traffic, or when you open your visa bill, or and so on. And I noticed when I started doing this with participants that some people were sort of almost a bit shocked that we were opening our visa bill and imaginary visa bill and laughing about it. But it resets that part of us. You know, stress is important, of course. We know we need stress to overcome obstacles. When you get your visa bill, there isn't anything you can do about it. It's like, it is what it is. And when you're stuck in traffic as well, and I'm sure people thought, you know, that I was a mad woman sitting in the traffic jam laughing, but it really helps to differentiate between the things that we can't do anything about. One that I don't think it was such a big thing when I did my training with you 11 years ago, but is the internet crashing. You know, and you know, but we can train ourselves one way or the other, can't we? Because when we lose something that we've just spent half an hour typing in, we can train ourselves into stress, can't we? We could train
Yeah.
ourselves into
Yeah.
a bad mood. We can train ourselves into an automatic body position that can move us into ill health.
Yeah, you are so right about that. And we are reframing how we see things and so on. And the
Mm,
thing is, some people say we're wired for negative. I'm
mm,
not sure I believe that, or where the research
mm,
comes from and so on, because we can just as well wire ourselves for or reframe situations so we see the positive. And that's thing about laughing in traffic where people you're stuck in
mm.
traffic is people don't know what's going on in your car if you're listening to something or so.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if people think it's a bit odd, the chances,
Mm.
what are the chances you're ever going to see these people in the queue anyway? Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
if
And
you
it's
ever
good for
did,
our health.
yeah, and if you ever met them, what a great topic for conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
If
it
they're
is,
willing to talk.
yeah, yeah. The
Mm,
thing is, and you know this with the work you do and so on,
mm,
that when we're not addressing things and we're not releasing, um, oh, was it, I think it was Freud who said that when we are experiencing trauma or some
mm,
event
mm,
that
mm,
causes
mm,
it causes an electrical charge in our body and we have to discharge it. And you can
mm.
do it through laughter. You can discharge this
Yeah.
traumatic event or this electrical
Mm, mm,
mishap,
mm, mm.
you can discharge through laughter or through anger or
Yeah.
through shaking.
Shouting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
or
those kind of things.
crying, sobbing,
Yes, through crying. Yeah,
or very often sport. You know,
yeah,
you hitting something hard with a racket, or
yeah,
running, or
yeah,
swimming. All of these things are ways of undoing the physical tension of
yeah,
the emotion,
yeah,
because we don't feel our emotions you know, in somewhere out here. They happen in our body, and that
yeah,
affects
yeah,
our muscles, our nervous system, the chemicals in our body,
yeah,
and so on. And
yeah.
you know, this is what I love about laughter, is that it's, you don't have to learn how to laugh. Your body
No.
knows how to do it.
And
There's no
you don't have to go out of your way to do it. You can do it here now, can't you? And the
mm,
thing is, if you're not releasing that tension or that
mm,
stress, the extra stress, yeah, because you're
mm,
right, we need a little bit of stress to function, don't we?
mm, mm,
But if you
mm,
don't do that, your body starts somatizing and creating all these illnesses and so on.
mm,
And I do believe we are quite responsible for creating illnesses in our body, but we also have the ability to unravel all these things to some extent, yeah. And I
mm,
know that sometimes environment plays a role as well,
mm,
but a
mm.
lot of it we can do a lot for ourselves to manage and to
Yeah.
maybe not completely rewind, but we can manage. And laughter is a
Mm.
great tool for that.
For
And I've
managing.
went through it myself as well, as you know.
Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know what? This is where laughter has just been my sort of salvation or
Mm,
my lifeline or so, yeah.
mm,
Because in 2008 I was diagnosed with MS and it really made me stop and think.
mm,
For a few weeks I was grieving for almost the loss of my life and my health and
mm,
so on. You
mm,
have to grieve your losses, don't you? And
mm,
so after a few weeks I thought, do you know what, I can't go on like this because my daughter and so on, I had to be
mm,
there and so on.
mm,
And
mm,
one of the things I thought was, how do I move forward with this? Because I know I'd seen how quickly your life can turn around through giving up. Eh?
mm,
My sister died in 91 with MS, and I
mm,
never ever thought that our family was going to experience it once again. Yeah. And
mm,
so what I remember, and it may or may not be the memory that the rest of my family have, but what I seem to remember is that I felt like my sister gave up on life. And
mm,
that's why it went so quickly. She had her diagnosis in 1989 and she died
mm,
less than 2 years later. Yeah.
mm,
So I
mm,
thought, okay, need to do something. And my knowledge of MS, of course, has increased with the years. But
mm,
back then, what I sort of knew was that when you're experiencing relapses in MS, it's typically because you're going through a lot of stress. So I
Mm,
felt, okay, let's see what
mm,
we can do about the stress and the
mm,
stressors in my life.
mm, mm,
And I decided to start the Telephone Laughter Club, where we laughed every day at a certain time for
mm,
a certain period of time.
mm,
And
mm,
I've continued that ever since. So we laugh every morning. Well, in the beginning, it was Monday to well, it was 7 days a week. But
mm.
then now we don't laugh on weekends. You're left to your own
Mm,
devices.
mm, mm, mm,
But so just laughing for 10 minutes, 7 o'clock in the morning to 7:10. And the reason I set it up back then at 7 o'clock was because it fitted in with the routine and the school run and
mm,
everything in life
mm,
and so on. And it was just a great way to have a support platform for myself,
mm,
because I
mm.
had to be on the call for everybody else to be able to come in and laugh
Yes.
along. And it really helped me. And I haven't been on any medication for MS. I do count my blessings, and I feel really lucky. Yeah, but
Mm,
I've used laughter as my remedy throughout the years.
mm, mm,
And some years ago, it must be 6 years ago or so, I had
mm,
an experience again, and I went to have an MRI scan again, and at that time they said to me, "Oh, we need to put the scans don't look good." I was like, "How can you tell? You don't know what the other ones look like?" Because they didn't have the
mm,
comparison. So I said, "How can
mm,
you? How do you know they're worse than 10 years ago
mm,
at the time?" Yeah,
mm,
and they didn't, but you need to go on medication. And I said, no, thank you. And I just kept laughing.
mm, mm, mm.
Not,
Yeah.
just as and this is what laughter is. It's a way of overcoming things, whether it's illness or trauma or loss or things that we feel our coping strategy is not quite there. Laughter can be such a great strategy for overcoming these things. And
Yes.
I do feel I'm a great example. And I know that sometimes I've been into laughter sessions where it's almost like some people have even said, well, it's easy for you to laugh, isn't it? Because your life is okay and so on.
Mm,
Well, we
mm.
all have a backstory, don't we? You
Yeah.
have a backstory. You've overcome some
Yes.
amazing, really awful things as well,
Mm,
and or
mm,
that other people would think, "Oh my goodness me, I could never
mm,
do that."
mm,
But we
mm.
do it, and we live to tell the tale because it's so, so important, isn't it?
Yes, and I think, some people might ask, isn't it a bit tactless to laugh when, you know, things are sad? But again, this is what you taught me, that it's appropriate to cry. Somebody dies
Yeah,
and we cry. But it, I, as a therapist, I'm often working with suppressed feelings, and I'll say to my clients, I'll say, it's not just your anger and your grief that have been repressed, but your joy, your
yeah,
laughter, your excitement. And there's one of the exercises is the crying laughter. And I quite often do this in therapy with people, because I honestly believe that what it's teaching us in our brain is fluidity.
yeah.
And what I see as a healthy emotional life is not to laugh all the time at everything, but is this capacity to flow, so
Yeah.
that you can cry and then you can be really pissed off and then you can laugh and then you can cry again and then you can feel anxious and then you can laugh and then and
Yeah,
is movement, and this is true of of physical pain as well as psychological pain,
I
is
love
if, as
that.
long as you're moving, you're still alive. And so I sometimes do this crying laughter, because what the brain is doing is it's going, I'm crying and it's okay, and now I can move out of it and that's okay, and I can move into it and that's okay, and I can move out of it and that's okay. And it's like mapping it on your brain. So I'm going to
Yeah.
demonstrate this, and you'll have to tell me if this is how you taught me, because it's so long. But it's where we sort of hunch down and then
Mm,
we go back up. And
yeah,
again, anybody who knows yoga or qigong will understand this sort of openness around the heart and the chest as you come back up, but it goes something like is that the sort of
Yeah.
the gist? Do I ever
Oh,
remembered it
it
right?
definitely is. Yeah, the only
Mm.
thing you left out is that it's okay to be as dramatic as you can, yeah? And with
Yeah, yeah.
big lip and so on. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And then you turn around and you start laughing, and then you cry and you
yeah,
laugh, yeah? And
yeah.
it's really, really good. And the cry laughter is so cathartic. Even if we are
Yes.
pretending, it
Yeah.
still taps into something. And it is about, I love what you're saying about moving through, because that's what we're doing. We're moving through the emotions, and
Mm,
it's all like that flow. It's a continuum, isn't it? We talk
mm,
about that
mm,
in mental health. I actually, one thing you may not
mm,
know, well, you
mm,
may know or may not know,
mm.
is that I teach mental health first aid
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
charity organization here in the UK,
Mm,
and I love it, and it's really well connected with laughter yoga, because it is about our mental health and promoting great both mental and physical and most emotional health. And
mm.
so when we're experiencing that, laughter and tears are not opposite. It's just that flow, it's the continuum. And if
Yes.
we're only laughing, we have serious problems. If you think about it, we
Absolutely.
have to have that balance where we also allow ourselves to feel other feelings and all the emotions to come up, so we can deal with
Mm.
them and get rid of them, so they're not building up physical aspects of their own selves.
Yes.
Because
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
You've put
so
that really, really well, and I think I'd like to go on to talk about this idea that we haven't mentioned yet, which is what are we laughing at? The answer is actually we're not laughing at anything,
no.
but we're just going to go to a little break now, and then when we come back, perhaps we can explain a little bit more to people who are listening why we're laughing at nothing. Um,
Sounds like a good plan.
Are you coming out later in life? Are you partnered with someone who is? The Women with Women conference has you covered. Meet like-minded people and hear from authors, therapists and specialists at a beautiful venue in Sheffield. The first Women with Women conference is set for June 2025, and with limited spaces, tickets are available at womenofsteel.co.uk. We'll see you there. This event is not open to men or straight people.
so, what I wanted to talk to you about after the break is why are we laughing if it's not funny? Can you explain a little bit about the thinking behind that?
Yes, I most certainly can. And thank you very much for asking that question. Now, the reason we're laughing without actually finding things funny is because of our health. It's good for our health, but it's also because we have a choice in life, yeah? We have a
Mm,
choice to either look like that, and then
mm,
when age kicks in, then we start drooping even more, yeah? But laughter and smiling is a great instant facelift if you think about it. We're going
mm,
from to so everything
mm,
moves up. That's
mm,
not why we're doing it, but we're doing it because we can and because we have the choice, and it changes how we see things, it changes how we feel, it changes our health and well-being, and it rewires how we um process life in general. We become more
mm,
resourceful and resilient. And
mm.
that's what laughter yoga is all about. So when we choose to laugh, it doesn't mean we're in a great mood necessarily, but we're choosing it because it's good for us. And some people say, well, I can't do that. Of course you can. Everybody and anybody can say ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
when you say ha 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 ha, not ho 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 ho, but ha 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 ha, your lips turn up. Yeah. And
Mm.
some people say, no, my lips definitely don't turn up. Well, if they don't turn up, it's a different sound that comes out. Yeah. So
Yeah,
ha 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 ha, lift the corners of your lips. And that movement connects in with the pleasure centers in the brain. And this is so, so important because
yeah.
it's connecting in with the the chemical cocktail, not just endorphins, but chemicals that support so many parts of us, like serotonin, our natural antidepressant. And I'm maybe using terms where, yeah, I hope it's okay to use all the,
Yes,
I
yes.
don't understand everything there is to understand, but I do
Yeah,
understand a little bit about laughter, yeah?
yeah,
And
yeah.
serotonin, our natural antidepressant, we're going into autumn or winter. That's a fact of life. Every year we do that. And some people experience it a little bit harder on their mental health than other people. And this is where we can use laughter to generate some of that serotonin that we're missing out on because we don't have the light hours and so on. So dopamine drives us. It's our reward chemical, drives us. We are encouraging production of dopamine. We're encouraging, when we're laughing in laughter yoga, we have all this eye contact and so on.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. And when we do this laughter and we're connecting with people, we release oxytocin, which is our love hormone that makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside. We can self-hug and we can hug
Yeah.
others, and we can
Yeah.
breastfeed if we're that kind of person with
Yeah.
that kind of age and child. But again, laughter helps us produce that as well. So it is a chemical cocktail of joy that we're releasing when we're laughing. And when we choose it, we can have that knock-on effect every day, just by going ha 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 ha. And when you do that with your mirrored image, it may turn from the ha 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 pretend to being real and infectious, and you have those events going on in your body. And
Yes.
in terms of your immune system, I was talking about with MS and so on, your immune system is breaking down and you experience relapses and you deteriorate, your physical health deteriorates. But with laughter, you are actually connecting in with the thymus gland, which sits just under the breastbone. And this is where you have the production of lymphocytes, which is your immune system cells that fight illness, like it could be any illness, colds and viruses, and even things like cancer and worse viruses like HIV and stuff like that. Yeah. So why would we not tap into that? Is it because people are just wired to feel miserable? I don't believe that. I
No.
think we're here to connect and enjoy each other's company. And what's better than to have a little laugh together? And then we can moan, and then we can laugh again.
Yeah.
But it's so good for us. I think I could keep talking about it.
Well, I think you were saying, why do we laugh? You said we can choose to,
Yeah.
and I think if we're dependent on things being funny, we're powerless, aren't we? Because we're just waiting for something funny or happy to come along.
Or other
Whereas
people to
this
make us
way,
laugh.
yeah, we instigate it. And I was also thinking, do you know that they've given Botox to people for depression? And the reason this works is because people can't frown. And so that link you're talking about, it's not some woo-woo thing you made up. It's science. It's if you smile, you send a signal to your nervous system that things are okay. And it's very similar with this opening the chest, which we do when we're doing that belly laughing. We've got this open chest. If we were in danger, we would protect our chest, and we would curl up and protect ourselves. So when we've got an open chest, we are sending a signal to our brain that we're safe. And again, when we're laughing, we're sending a signal to our brain we're safe. So that repeated thing is, again, it's like it's practicing so that these pathways are being used more. And it's not about that we're inappropriate and we're laughing at a funeral or something. It's like we're appropriate, but it's when you've got a choice and it's up to you, and it's you in your life. That's your form of exercise. And when I was recovering from health issues, I found that laughter and singing are really good, gentle ways to start breathing again. It's very hard when you've had abdominal surgery to breathe, but they make you do it from day one. They're like, we want you to breathe down here and so on. So just, I know that we have to tick a medical thing if we do a full-on laughter yoga class, but the smiling and and using the diaphragm and so on is really, really important for recovery. But so I did want to add that in about the Botox for depression. And you could have the Botox, but it's cheaper to do laughter yoga.
Yeah, and do you know what? People are afraid of frowns as well. But I have heard that about Botox as well for depression as an antidepressant. But you know what? If we can use laughter instead, and I know some people are really scared of frowns or of wrinkles, but you get the good wrinkles, the ones that sit here, like
they're gorgeous. They're so attractive. I love those laughter lines on people. I
Absolutely.
find them very, very attractive. And I'm thinking one of the things we do in laughter yoga, it's not all about just choosing to laugh. There's a really lovely exercise, and this is probably the one that I use the most in my therapy practice, or if I'm running groups or on the women's retreats that I do as well. And it's the laughter meditation, where we lie down. Often we do it in a circle with our heads in the middle of the circle, and there's no instruction to laugh. But we've probably done some warm-ups and we've been laughing, and it's just to let what comes up come out, and somebody will get the giggles, and then somebody else starts laughing, and then somebody else starts laughing, and I love this. It's just one of my favorite things to do, that ripple effect of and it ebbs and flows. So sometimes it goes into quiet, and then somebody does a great big snort and everybody's laughing again. And and one of a good lead into that one is what do you call it? The one that's like the dying fly, where you lie on your back and you shake your arms and legs up in the air.
It's the caterpillar, I think it's called, But I tell you what, it's so interesting, because for me, the exercise you described is the perfect finish to a laughter session, because you've been running around for maybe 25 minutes, maybe half an hour, doing laughter exercise where you've initiated laughter through pretending to laugh, and then it may have flown into real laughter. When you lay down on the floor in that circle, you tap into your own joy and the fun and the playfulness you have inside that we sometimes forget when we grow up. And this is one of the things about this way of laughing, that people are afraid to tap into the fun and the playfulness. That actually is so innate. We have it, but we just don't want to, because we don't want to be over the top, and we're kind of complying with how society wants us to behave, where actually it's we're shriveling, aren't you? We're becoming less, and we're, like you said, we're hunching up and so on, instead of being open and self-expressed and enjoying life. We're trying to avoid the full living. And the laughter meditation there is such a beautiful place, where, because people are in their private space and closed eyes and so on, they're more likely to open up and allow that laughter and the snorts to come out. And for some, it's also the perfect space for other types of catharsis, because laughter is very cathartic, but it may also lead to tears. So some people may find themselves sobbing, and that's also okay. And it may in the end lead to more laughter, because that's what it does, isn't it? It flows.
Ebbs
And some people may go silent. And
Yeah.
it is exhausting to laugh. So for some people, it's just, okay, let's just rest for a moment here.
Yeah. And that what you're describing, that joy, it's within us, and we own it, and it's not from something external, and that feels really important. The class has been a stimulus to help us exercise those muscles and make that connection. But in the meditation, it's like, this is my birthright. I was born with joy, and it's here, and it just bubbles up, which is it feels to me as if we're naturally coming to a place where we can draw this to an end. So I'm just thinking about how people might follow up and get to know a bit more about laughter. I know that all your things are going to be in the show notes, so do really encourage people to look there, look at the show notes, but tell us a little bit about how people might get in touch with you and the different things that you offer, and also how they could do which I so strongly recommend, the Laughter Yoga Leader training, because you don't have to become a yoga leader. You probably will want to be after doing the training, but after doing the training, you just want to share it, don't you? But you can just go on the training for self-development.
Absolutely true. And I'm really sorry if you're watching this back before you're posting it and so on, you may find that I'm laughing while you're talking. It's just because the line broke up and I couldn't hear a thing of what you were saying.
It's that internet, and we have no power over the internet.
No, I know sometimes, but how can people reach me? Well, first of all, in the notes is unitedmind.co.uk, but if you forget that, it's also laughteryoga.co.uk, where you can read about the training courses and so on. And I'm also on email, of course, Lotte@unitedmind.co.uk or Lotte@laughteryoga.co.uk. But if you can't spell my name, I'm also on info. Just covering all the bases. But it's my details are there, and please do get in touch. The best way is to send me an email or message me on WhatsApp or also, and I'll send you more detail. But you can book training courses. But if you want to know more, then please do get in touch as well. That goes for everybody. And I just love teaching laughter yoga because it makes a big difference, even when people are not coming because they want to start laughter clubs or start sharing it with everybody else. It's a skill to get, a life skill that makes such a big difference in lives. And even if lots of people come on the course because they want it for themselves and they want to know how they can expand on their own laughter and enjoy the benefits of laughter, and that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
And connecting with other people is one of the max benefits we get from it. Connecting with people, even if you go on to not be best friends for life, you create some new friendships that are based on the real thing and not based on where you live or where you work or where you went to school or how you look and feel and so on, but based on the real thing where we're connecting through joy.
Yeah, connected with joy. I love that. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Such a pleasure to see you again after all these years.
Are you convinced? Do you think you'll try this for yourself? It might be hard to believe that even pretend laughter can improve mood, but it is scientifically proven, and I'm hoping that after listening you might be feeling a little bit different in a good way, a bit more smiley, perhaps than when you started listening. If you've got any thoughts or comments or feedback about today's podcast and trying this out in your own life, do email me, leave a review. All the links are in the show notes. Thank you for listening to Women of Steel, created and hosted by me, Miriam Grace, psychotherapist at Blue Skies. If you'd like to know more about my work as a therapist and writer, you can follow me on social media. Please take a look at the show notes for information and contact details. And in the meantime, be kind to yourself.